Alright guys, if you are watching this video, it is because you need help on either of the questions in the 6 weeks review that are 18, 19, 20, or 21. So all of these are from cycle 2, where we were writing recursive formulas and evaluating and all that good stuff. So let's get started. So number 18 is first asking us to write a recursive formula when we have the sequence. So if you recall from one of our warm-ups, the first thing that we need to do when we are writing a recursive formula is find the common difference. And the common difference is found by figuring out what you are adding or subtracting from each number to keep the pattern going. So if I start with 10 and I move to 4, I know my number's getting smaller, so that means I'm subtracting. 10 minus 6 is 4. And I'm going to double check that with the rest of my sequence. So 4 minus 6 should give me negative 2. Minus 6 should give me negative 8. Minus 6 should give me negative 14, which it does. So every time I keep this pattern going, I'm subtracting 6, and that's my common difference. Once you identify the common difference, we need to identify the first term. The first term is the first number they give me in the sequence, and that's a sub 1. Those are the only two things we need to be able to write this formula. Now, it's important that you know what a recursive formula looks like. So it looks like this. A sub n equals a sub n minus 1 plus d, and we say a sub 1 equals a number. In this formula, the only two things I am going to replace are d with whatever number we have here, and this with this here. So pretty much this becomes this, and the d becomes negative 6. So my final answer, a sub n equals a sub n minus 1. Now here I have plus, and my common difference is a negative 6. Just put minus 6. Do not put plus and minus next to each other. And then a sub 1 equals 10. And that is the answer. So for a recursive formula, you find the common difference in the pattern or the sequence, and then you identify your first term. 19, given the function f of n equals negative 5n plus 4, find f of negative 14. Well, all they did was inside the parentheses, instead of n, they put a negative 14. So this means n equals negative 14. Well, if I know that n equals negative 14, I can take this information and plug it in here. The only thing I am going to replace is the n. Everything else is going to stay exactly the same. So, negative 5. When we replace a variable, we have to make sure we use parentheses. And inside those parentheses, I put negative 14. So negative 5, parentheses means to multiply. So negative 5 times negative 14 plus 4. When a variable and a number are next to each other, they're being multiplied. Well, now I just need to figure out what all of this equals. Negative 5, parentheses, negative 14 plus 4. And that answer is 74. 20, evaluate the function f of x equals negative 4x minus 15 for the domain negative 4, 0, and 4. So 20 is very similar to 19. The only difference is I have 3 different values. Domain, which you should remember from the cycle 3 lessons, domain is always the x value. So what this really means is x equals these 3 numbers. Well, all I'm going to do is replace that x value with these 3 numbers. So I'm going to do it 3 different times. So negative 4 parentheses, right, because I'm replacing x, minus 15. And I'm going to write that 3 times because I have three different x values. -4, parentheses, minus 15. Well, the first x value that I'm given in the problem, right here in my braces or curly brackets, is -4. So I put this in here. So -4 times -4 minus 15. Even if you think you're good at mental math, double check with the calculator. -4 times -4 minus 15 equals 1. So my first answer is 1. Next, I'm going to plug in 0. Well, -4 times 0, anything times 0 is 0. And 0 minus 15 is -15. And I will prove it. -15. Last one, I'm plugging in the last number they gave me, which is +4. So -4 times +4 minus 15. And the answer is -31. Now, because they gave us the domain values like this, they are asking for the range values, because range is what you get when you plug in the domain. If I plug in x, I'm getting y. So remember, when we list domain and range, three things have to happen. We have to use curly brackets or braces. We must list them in order from least to greatest, and we cannot repeat. So if you list them in this order, that is wrong, because this is from greatest to least. This is the smallest number because it is a bigger negative. That's my middle number, and that's my last number because this is the largest. So the range equals, because remember up here they gave me D equals, so my answer is going to be the range. Curly brackets, -31, comma, -15, comma, 1. Curly brackets. That is the answer. You must remember to list them from least to greatest, no repeats, and use curly brackets. Last one, 21. Find the domain for the function f of x equals -8x minus 4 given the range. Well, we just said up here that if domain is x, that means range is y. So this means y equals 28. Well, Ms. Flores, I don't see a y in the function. Well, no, you don't, but f of x is the same thing as y. Remember that from cycle 1. To turn an equation into function notation, you replace y with f of x. So f of x is the same thing as y. Well, if I know that y equals 28, here, where y is, not here. Some of you want to plug everything in for x. No, this time I'm replacing y because they gave me the range. So y equals -8x minus 4. Well, y is now 28, so I'm going to have 28 equals -8x minus 4. They are asking you to find the domain, and domain is x. Well, if I need to find the x, I'm not going to replace x. This is what I don't know. This is what I need to find. This is why we have you rewrite those problems in the warm-ups, where we have you summarize the question. If you need to find the x, you shouldn't be plugging this number in for x. So now I need to solve for x. The first thing I do is add 4 on both sides. -4 plus 4 cancels out. 28 plus 4 is 32. 32 equals -8x. To get x by itself, I must divide both sides by -8. 32 divided by -8 is -4. So that is my answer. X equals, because remember that's what we were trying to find the domain or find the x. X equals -4.